And that's prosecutors, and that's what we waiting for that to happen, because he deserved to be out here with, with his family.
Like that's, I don't see how he that strong, he's still strong, he still be
smiling. That was Master P revealing something that shocked a lot of people. He said his brother cmurder could have been walking free years ago if he had accepted an 8-year plea deal and listened to the family who cared about him instead of the voices surrounding him inside prison. But cmurder refused the deal, pushed the case all the way to trial, and ended up receiving life without parole.
At one time, my brother was gonna get 8 years. He had already did 4. All you do is sign off on it.
Now reports say he has even faced violence behind bars, and the situation has turned darker than anyone expected. So what exactly did Master P reveal? How did the case reach that breaking point? And what has it cost the family after all these years? Sometimes the hardest truth is realizing you should have listened to the people who truly had your back.
At one time, my brother was gonna get 8 years. He had already did 4. All you do is sign off on it.
In early March 2026, Master P sat down for an interview that nobody expected, and this time he did not hold back. For more than 2 decades, the public story around cmurder followed the same script: that he was innocent, that witnesses were unreliable, and that the system failed him. The family repeated that message in rallies, interviews, and social media posts for years. But during this interview, Master P added a detail the public had never heard before. He revealed that his brother had once been offered a deal for 8 years in prison, and he turned it down. The clip quickly exploded online after My Mixtapes shared it on X, spreading across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook within hours.
Sometimes you gotta listen to the people that love you.
Right.
Instead of listening to the jailhouse, people come and go, women come and go out your life, all this stuff, man.
According to Master P, that offer came around 2006, roughly 4 years after cmurder was first incarcerated. At that point, Corey Miller had already served about 4 years, meaning he would have only needed to serve 4 more before going home. In simple terms, the deal could have had him free around 2010, possibly even earlier with good behavior credits. But cmurder refused to sign anything that suggested guilt. He stood firm on his innocence and chose to return to trial instead, a decision that would change the course of his life forever.
It's tough on these streets.
Right.
Even though my brother innocent. Think about it. But you prolonged this so long.
Master P then said the line that instantly turned into the headline: jailhouse people. That phrase hit hard because Master P was not talking about random strangers. He was speaking about a specific type of influence that surrounds someone while they are locked up. The kind of people who come around inside prison, giving advice, making promises, and slowly gaining influence behind those walls.
When that time goes, you're gonna find out who real or not. Your family gonna be there no matter what.
Meanwhile, the family on the outside is the one doing the real work, fighting in court, raising awareness, and pushing for another chance. Master P made it clear he was bringing the conversation down to the real issue, but at the same time, he did not back away from the claim that his brother is innocent. In the very same breath, he said, "My brother is innocent," while also admitting that the decision to reject the plea deal changed everything. For Master P, the argument was never about whether cmurder was responsible for the shooting. The real turning point in his eyes was the choice to risk everything on a jury trial in Jefferson Parish, one of the toughest legal environments in Louisiana.
I read that case 100 times, bro. They really took him away because of who he was.
Instead of accepting a guaranteed 8-year sentence and eventually walking free, the gamble was placed on a courtroom outcome that could go either way. Then came the line that reframed the entire 24-year saga in one brutal sentence. If that deal had been signed, none of this would have happened. Think about what that means. No decades inside Angola prison, no endless legal battles, no hunger strikes, no appeals climbing through state and federal courts, no years of visiting rooms, legal bills, social media campaigns, and public tension surrounding the case. The entire storm that followed might never have existed. If Corey Miller had accepted that deal in 2006, the math was simple. 4 years already served, 4 more years remaining, and he could have potentially walked free around 2010, back with his daughters, back with his family, back living a normal life again. But that deal was rejected, and the retrial moved forward. When the verdict came down, the jury voted 10-2, and the judge delivered the sentence that changed everything: life without parole. The date was October 22nd, 2009, and from that moment on, the legal road became a long series of closed doors. Appeal after appeal came back with the same answer: no.
Even though my brother innocent, think about it. But you prolonged this so long, and so I just think if he'd have took the deal early, we wouldn't be dealing with it. So you gotta want to do right.
Right. Are you trying to keep him in the right mindset?
Yeah, I mean, that's my family, dog.
In 2011, the Louisiana Appellate Court rejected the challenge. In 2012, the Louisiana Supreme Court declined to intervene. In 2013, the U.S. Supreme Court also refused to take up the case. Later, a federal judge issued another denial, keeping the conviction intact. Years passed, but the legal fight continued. Then, on February 4th, 2026, the Louisiana Supreme Court delivered what many saw as the final blow. All 7 justices ruled unanimously that Miller had exhausted every remaining state option for review. The ruling stated that he had no remaining path under state law to reopen the case. Every state-level door was officially closed. Still, Corey Miller responded publicly and said the fight was not finished. He promised that he would continue searching for another legal path forward. Just days later, Master P sat down for that interview and revealed the truth about the 8-year deal. The timing was not random at all. It came right after the latest court rejection, after watching his brother absorb another major setback following more than 2 decades of struggle. And according to Master P, that one decision from years ago is what set everything else into motion.
They tainted the jury, bro. Like, when he was going to trial, they was showing his Baton Rouge video with him in the club shooting and shit like this. And Louisiana is a hate state towards black entertainers with money. All black entertainers in Louisiana go down. If you don't move out, you go down.
In his eyes, the turning point was not the night at the Platinum Club, not the witnesses, not the jury. According to Master P, the real turning point happened in 2006 when a man who believed he was innocent chose to gamble his freedom on a system that was never built to protect him. That was the moment everything changed. Master P has spoken openly about the weight of that decision. Watching someone you love refuse a chance to come home is a heavy thing to carry, especially when you know that one signature on a deal could have changed the entire future. But the reality is simple and painful at the same time. cmurder is still his brother. The case is still the case.
Once you get into a jam, especially you're a celebrity, like you're gonna get made an example of. Like, you got to know that.
Because he's gone on like hunger strikes and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because that's the only way you get attention.
And the deal that was not taken is still the deal that was never taken. Every year that passed after 2006 became part of the cost of that choice. Time kept moving, but that moment stayed frozen in the story. Because once that opportunity disappeared, there was no way to rewind it or get it back. To understand why rejecting that 8-year deal eventually led to a life sentence, you have to look closely at what cmurder walked back into when he chose to face trial again. The system waiting for him was already in motion, and it all traced back to a night at the Platinum Club in Harvey, Louisiana on January 12, 2002. That night, a fight broke out inside the crowded club involving around 15 to 20 people. During the chaos, a 16-year-old fan named Steve Thomas was beaten and then fatally shot once in the chest. The situation escalated quickly, and the entire scene became a blur of panic, shouting, and confusion.
My grandmother, she's not here right now. She's my angel. I know that, and she should be his angel. I've never heard him talk about her like that. But I know Kim Kardashian put out one tweet, and she is angel, which is crazy to me.
Reports later revealed that metal detectors had been skipped for VIP guests and celebrities that evening. In the middle of the fight, 2 witnesses, security guard Darnell Jordan and another witness named Kenneth Jordan, claimed they saw Corey Miller, known publicly as cmurder, fire the shot. But the case immediately raised serious questions. No murder weapon was ever recovered. There was also no DNA evidence directly linking Miller to the gun used in the shooting. Despite that, Miller was arrested within days and charged with second-degree murder. His first trial in 2003 ended with a conviction, but that verdict did not last long. In 2004, the conviction was overturned after it was revealed that prosecutors had failed to share important criminal background information about 3 key witnesses with the defense. That discovery reopened the case, and created the window for the plea deal. By 2006, Miller was released on bond and placed under house arrest while waiting for the retrial. During that time, he continued recording music and publicly maintained his innocence. It was during this period that prosecutors reportedly offered the 8-year deal. He refused it. Then the retrial began in August 2009. The same 2 witnesses returned to testify again, and the case moved forward under intense pressure and national attention. The jury deliberated for more than 13 hours across 2 days, and reports later described the situation inside the deliberation room as extremely tense. One juror reportedly became so overwhelmed that they vomited from stress. At one point, the judge even rejected an early verdict because it was considered invalid. Eventually, the final vote came back 10-2.
You know, I know he's incarcerated, and I get that. But still, you have to have a heart for the people that really helped you. I'm not going through that no more for ungrateful people. So all y'all bloggers or whatever, y'all could understand one thing. The ATM, I'm pulling the plug on.
Guilty. Later, one juror claimed she had been heavily pressured during deliberations to change her original not guilty vote. But the verdict still stood. On October 22, 2009, Judge Hans Liljeberg sentenced Corey Miller to mandatory life imprisonment without parole, locking in the outcome that still stands today.
You never wrote a book about them turning on you. I mean, how could you? How is that real? How is that true? Because that's your word, true.
You know, with my brother, man, my brother been going through it. My brother been going through it, and I'm praying for him, and I feel like now, everything that didn't happen.
Years later, someone who had spent time closely studying the case spoke about what he believed really influenced the jury's thinking. Boosie Badaz, who at one point had shared time in prison with cmurder and reviewed parts of the case materials, pointed to a detail that often gets overlooked in retellings of the story. He highlighted a completely separate incident from 2001 in Baton Rouge at a venue called Club Rags. During that event, Miller had fired a weapon into a crowd after being denied entry to the club. That earlier incident was not the same case as the Harvey shooting, but the jury deciding the Platinum Club murder was reportedly shown footage connected to that separate event. So the jurors were not just hearing testimony, they were also seeing video of Corey Miller holding a weapon in another club setting. According to critics of the case, that moment could have dramatically shaped how the jury viewed everything that followed. By the time deliberations began, the weight of the name cmurder was already hanging in the room. And after seeing footage tied to another shooting incident, many believe the idea of complete innocence had already become difficult for jurors to accept. And then there is the name itself. The stage name cmurder, a name that sold records, built a reputation, and projected an image long before the courtroom doors even opened. According to critics of the case, that persona walked into the courtroom ahead of Corey Miller and stayed there the entire trial. Rapper Boosie Badaz spoke about this directly. He pointed out that the name alone shaped how people looked at the case from the start.
To get him to where he needed to go, because that's what I did. When I wasn't all the way right, I started asking God, like, man, show me something. You know, I don't want to die out here.
Because when prosecutors stood in front of the jury, they were not just describing a man named Corey Miller. They were describing someone the public already knew as cmurder. And that detail was not small. It became part of the psychological structure of the prosecution's argument. In a chaotic nightclub incident where the events were confusing and the evidence raised questions, prosecutors did not just rely on the moment itself, they focused on convincing the jury that Corey Miller was the type of person capable of doing it. According to critics, the stage name did half the work, and the footage from the separate Baton Rouge Club incident filled in the rest of the picture. The trial took place in Jefferson Parish, an area that Master P himself described as one of the toughest legal environments in Louisiana. The broader legal context of the case also played a major role in how the verdict unfolded. cmurder's 2009 conviction came from a 10-2 jury vote. At that time, Louisiana was one of only 2 states in the country that allowed non-unanimous jury verdicts in non-capital felony cases. That rule had a long and controversial history, legal. Historians have traced the policy back to the post-Reconstruction era in Louisiana. Critics argued that the system was originally designed to weaken the influence of black jurors during deliberations. Then in 2020, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Ramos versus Louisiana that non-unanimous jury verdicts were unconstitutional. But the ruling came with a major limitation. It was not applied retroactively. That meant older convictions like Corey Miller's would remain in place. So even though the legal standard changed across the country, the ruling arrived too late to directly affect his case. Master P has spoken openly about this history while discussing his brother's situation. He has pointed to the deeper roots of that jury system and how it shaped the outcome of the trial. Meanwhile, the post-conviction battle continued year after year. In 2018, both Kenneth Jordan and Darnell Jordan, the key witnesses from the trial, signed sworn affidavits recanting their earlier testimony. They claimed that investigators had pressured them and threatened them with unrelated criminal charges unless they identified Miller as the shooter. Those claims immediately exploded across social media and were later highlighted in the investigation discovery series Reasonable Doubt. Many supporters believed this could finally reopen the case, but the courts did not see it that way. In January 2019, a Louisiana state court ruled that the recantations were not reliable. The judge pointed out that both witnesses had identified Miller multiple times before the trial and had maintained that identification for years. Because of that reasoning, the court refused to grant a new trial. The legal setbacks continued. In November 2023, U.S. District Judge Sarah S. Vance reviewed the case at the federal level and ultimately upheld the conviction. The ruling stated that Miller had not shown clear and convincing evidence that a legal error had occurred during the trial. Then came another major decision. In February 2026, the Louisiana Supreme Court unanimously ruled that Miller had exhausted his remaining options at the state level. That decision effectively closed the final state court door. While the legal battles continued, reports from inside prison described serious challenges with Miller's health and living conditions. In 2018, he began a hunger strike at Angola prison, protesting conditions he described as harsh and unfair. Then again, in 2021, he launched another hunger strike at Elaine Hunt Correctional Center, accusing prison officials of neglecting serious medical issues. Civil rights attorneys Benjamin Crump and Ronald Haley Jr. later became involved, demanding attention to the concerns raised about his treatment behind bars. Boosie Badaz, who has experienced the prison system himself, once explained why someone in that situation might turn to a hunger strike. For some inmates, it becomes one of the only ways left to force attention onto their situation. And when you step back and look at the entire story, the trial, the appeals, the legal battles, and the years inside prison, this is the full reality of what cmurder has been living through for more than 2 decades. What Master P was describing was bigger than just one trial. It was a system that convicted Corey Miller using testimony that was later recanted under a jury rule that has since been ruled unconstitutional. The case unfolded in a parish known for aggressive prosecutions, while prosecutors leaned heavily on a stage name that painted a powerful image in the courtroom. After the conviction came the long years that followed. Hunger strikes, denied appeals, and federal court rulings that kept repeating the same answer again and again. Each new filing ran into the same wall. No. State courts rejected the arguments. Federal courts rejected the arguments. And the one path that might have bypassed everything, the 8-year plea deal offered in 2006, was the path that had already been refused. But the revelation about that deal did not land in isolation. It landed after more than 2 decades of pressure on the Miller family, a situation that pulled them into the public spotlight again and again, even though none of them chose the circumstances surrounding it. To understand why Master P spoke the way he did in March 2026, you have to look at the years between 2006 and 2026 and what they actually meant for the Miller family. What they sacrificed, what they lost, and what they are still hoping for today. Corey Miller and Percy Miller, known to the world as Master P, grew up together in the Calliope projects in New Orleans' 3rd Ward. Life there was not easy. Their father left early, and the children were raised mainly by their grandmother, known to the family as Big Mama. They grew up alongside their siblings, rapper Silk the Shocker, their sister Jermaine, and their brother Kevin Miller. The family faced tragedy early on. In the early 1990s, Kevin Miller was killed, a loss that left a deep mark on the family. In neighborhoods like the Calliope projects, those wounds often stay quiet, carried privately by families who learn to keep moving forward because there is no other choice. Master P responded by building something bigger than the environment around him. After receiving $10,000 from a grandfather's medical malpractice settlement, he used that money to open a small record store in California. That store became the foundation of No Limit Records. By 1991, Percy had pulled Corey and the rest of the family into the business. What followed was one of the most remarkable success stories in hip-hop history. The Millers built an entire music empire from the ground up. During the late 1990s, No Limit Records became one of the most dominant forces in the industry. Albums were selling millions of copies, and the family had completely changed their lives. cmurder's album Life or Death debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200 in 1998. At that moment, it felt like the family had truly escaped the struggles of the projects. They had survived everything their neighborhood threw at them and turned it into success. Then January 2002 happened. The events at the Platinum Club set off a chain reaction that slowly began pulling the family apart. The legal fight that followed lasted years and brought constant pressure. Throughout the early stages, Master P remained publicly committed to defending his brother. He organized rallies, spoke to the media, and used his platform to argue that Corey had been wrongfully convicted. In 2018, he even organized a rally at Xavier University in New Orleans, standing in front of a crowd and calling for his brother's release. He spoke about witness recantations, problems with the justice system, and the broader legal issues surrounding the case. He also quietly continued supporting the family behind the scenes, helping with legal expenses, prison visits, and support. For cmurder's children, for years the Miller family carried the weight of that battle together. Then 2020 brought a moment that created visible tension. Public figures Kim Kardashian and singer Monica announced that they were working to help bring attention to the case and support efforts to free cmurder. From inside Angola prison, Corey responded emotionally and referred to them as his angels and his ride or dies. Master P watched those statements unfold publicly, and the moment clearly affected him. Soon after, he posted a raw video on Instagram where the emotion was impossible to miss. He began talking about their grandmother, Big Mama, the woman who had raised them. For years, she had traveled to the prison to visit Corey. She waited in lines, went through security checks, and sat through the long and uncomfortable prison visitation process just to see her grandson. In Master P's emotional explanation, those years of quiet loyalty had not received the same kind of public recognition that suddenly appeared for celebrities supporting the case online. And that comparison opened up a deeper conversation about family, loyalty, and the complicated emotions that had built up after so many years of struggle. Even after everything, Master P still said his brother was innocent. He still said he wanted him home. He even said he appreciated the help from Kim Kardashian, but what he struggled with was the way the attention shifted. In his eyes, the people who had just arrived in the conversation were suddenly being praised more than the family members who had been standing there for years. Then came the moment that shook social media. Master P announced he was stepping back. No more financial support, no more prison visits. He spoke about the emotional and physical cost of simply walking through the doors of Angola prison, the searches, the long waits, the heavy feeling of seeing someone you love through a sheet of prison glass, and he said he was done. Online reactions exploded instantly. Many people on the internet read the statement as abandonment. But that interpretation ignored a lot of the deeper context behind what he was saying. Master P never said his brother was guilty. He never changed his position on the conviction. What he kept repeating was that the family members who had carried the weight of the fight deserved recognition too. The grandmother, the parents, the siblings, the relatives who spent years showing up quietly, without cameras, without headlines, without social media praise. He also spoke directly to cmurder through the camera, and when he did, he pointed attention toward the people who were actually involved in the chaos the night Steve Thomas was killed. According to Master P, the individuals who were present that night had moved on with their lives. Some of them were living freely, far away from the spotlight. Meanwhile, Corey Miller remained inside Angola prison. His argument was never that his brother deserved to stay there. Instead, he suggested that Corey had become the person who carried the entire burden of that night while others disappeared from the story. And through all the public moments, the rallies, the interviews, the family tension in 2020, the emotional Instagram videos, one thing stayed underneath everything: the plea deal. The door that existed back in 2006, the opportunity that could have changed the entire direction of the story. Master P has never stopped praying for his brother. He has never stopped saying he believes Corey should come home. Even the public tension that surfaced in 2020 did not last forever. By 2025 and 2026, Master P was again speaking publicly about the case and calling for continued support. The love between the brothers never disappeared. For a while, the frustration simply became louder than the hope. But eventually, that anger softened into something that looked more like grief than rage. Master P's own life journey plays a role in how he sees everything. He went from growing up in the Calliope projects to building No Limit Records, creating businesses, and changing the direction of his life. To him, that transformation came from making difficult choices. And he believes his brother is facing a similar crossroads, not a surrender to the state, but a deeper surrender to something bigger than the fight itself. In his mind, the 8-year deal offered in 2006 represented an earlier version of that same moment, a chance to step away from the battle and choose freedom instead. But cmurder did not take it. He chose to fight the case, believing in his innocence. And that fight against this system, in this state, has now lasted more than 2 decades. Still, Master P says the same thing today. He believes Corey Miller deserves to be home with his family. As of March 2026, Corey Miller is 54 years old. He remains incarcerated at the Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola, serving life without the possibility of parole. His legal battle continues. The case has moved through the U.S. Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals after a federal court denial in 2023. At the same time, a petition for factual innocence under Louisiana's 2021 law remains pending. The situation is complicated. The witnesses who once testified against him have later changed their statements. The jury rule used to convict him has since been ruled unconstitutional. Yet every court that has reviewed the case so far, both state and federal, has declined to overturn the conviction. At one point, Boozy Badaz summarized the situation in a blunt way. He said the only thing that could truly end the story would be a breakthrough that finally changes the outcome. And that brings the story back to the sentence Master P said out loud on camera for the whole world to hear. He said his brother could have been home. Meanwhile, Corey Miller is still inside Angola prison, still saying he did not commit the crime, still holding on to hope. And that is why that one sentence hits harder than anything else in the entire story.